As we reported, the U.S. is holding talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in hopes of ending the war in Ukraine. Ukraine has already accepted the terms for a 30-day ceasefire. Putin claims he agrees with the proposal in principle, but says there are issues left to be worked out. President Trump has repeatedly said he thinks the Russian leader wants peace. CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us now. So, Sam, let's catch people up to speed. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with Putin in Moscow Thursday. The Kremlin says it's cautiously optimistic, but Putin wants a one-on-one with Trump. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is urging the White House to apply more pressure on Moscow. Where do things stand to end the war?
Well, Lindsay, what a difference a week makes. At the end of the previous week, Ukraine had seen the U.S. cut off security assistance to Ukraine and to stop certain intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Fast forward to this last week, and after extensive negotiations between Ukrainian and U.S. officials, Ukraine agreed to a U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire that reportedly would include the return of certain prisoners of war, certain civilian detainees, and Ukrainian children abducted by Russia. In exchange for agreeing to that, the United States has said that it would resume security assistance to Ukraine and fully reinstate intelligence sharing with Ukraine as well. So the pressure campaign on Ukraine worked. Steve Witkoff then went on to Russia and met with Russian counterparts. And Vladimir Putin and his team said that the proposal looks okay, but that there's still a lot of details to discuss. So not a yes, more of a maybe. Interestingly, while Witkoff was in Moscow, the U.S. administration did announce additional sanctions on Russia on its energy sector, which means that Trump is starting to mix some sticks with the carrots that he's been offering Vladimir Putin to come to the negotiating table.
When it comes to the Middle East, how much progress has been made either to extend phase one of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas or negotiate phase two?
This was a bumpy week when it comes to the Middle East negotiations between Israel and Hamas. As you mentioned, the first phase of the ceasefire and hostage release deal ended earlier this month. And since that time, Israel has cut off electricity to the one remaining facility in Gaza that it was providing electricity to. It's cut off humanitarian assistance, and Hamas has stopped releasing hostages. Now, Hamas has said publicly that it wanted to show some flexibility, but the U.S. administration issued a statement on Friday saying that behind the scenes, Hamas is being totally impractical. Donald Trump also issued on social media what he called a last warning to Hamas, basically saying if you don't release all the hostages, there's going to be hell to pay. So we're at a very difficult impasse when it comes to trying to negotiate an end to the conflict in Gaza and to get more hostages out.
I have to be quick with you on this last one, but Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying that he would start revoking student visas for some pro-Palestinian protesters. What are the grounds for revoking these kinds of visas?
Well, the federal government actually has pretty broad discretion when it comes to revoking these visas. Visas can be revoked for things like overstaying your student visa, failing to attend class, or breaking the law. At the same time, the Secretary of State does have discretion to revoke visas for certain terrorist-related activities, and if the Secretary of State determines that an individual could pose an adverse foreign policy consequence to the United States. So Rubio does seem to have broad discretion to revoke some of these student visas, in addition to, of course, looking for individuals who engage in conduct or speech the administration doesn't agree with and who also may have happened to have engaged in some kind of violation of the terms of their visa themselves.
Sam Vinograd, thank you.